The man before us is bound in the world's greatest magic tower, used as an experimental subject. The inhumane treatment has left his body on the verge of collapse. Every day he endures unimaginable humiliation. The man's name is Belden. He grew up in an orphanage and dreamed of becoming an excellent mage. However, his mediocre talent meant he had basically no chance of becoming a mage. He never gave up though, and managed to get a job at the magic tower doing odd jobs, voraciously reading magic books. Although he never became a mage, his vast knowledge earned him a position as a researcher at the magic tower. When he submitted his newly written thesis to Mr. Lucode, he was praised as a genius. Out of trust, he showed this thesis to Lucode, and only Lucode. Never could he have imagined that Lucode would steal his thesis and publish it under his own name. Upon learning this, Belden sought out the tower master to explain the situation. He believed wholeheartedly that Barak, the respected master of the magic tower, would never ignore such a matter. But Barak merely approached him slowly, and with a sinister evil smile said, "Come to my research lab tomorrow." Belden thought the tower master would deliver justice, but instead, he was locked in his laboratory. For the next 7 years, his life was nothing but darkness, working odd jobs during the day, and at night, becoming a test subject, drugs injected into his veins while they observed his body's reactions, drawing magic circles, creating new potions to prove their effects, slowly sacrificing his life for this damned magic tower. The tower master even threatened the lives of those dear to him, preventing him from revealing the truth, and now he has completely lost hope. It's time for everything to end. Powerless, he remembers his childhood. Back then, chasing and playing around with Robolin, they promised each other they'd become the finest mages together. Thinking of this now only brings regret. If only my growth potential had been a bit higher, would things be different now? I accept that everything ends here. With those words, 2 streams of muddy tears fell as he waited, powerless for his life to end. In his daze, he heard that annoying yet familiar sound again, the one that comes with every experiment. That ant that was trampled to death by the experimenters is somehow making a sound. Then, an entire colony of ants swarmed out from the corner. Thousands upon thousands of ants formed into a human shape and spoke. "It's not over yet, is it? For survival and revenge, keep pushing on no matter how difficult. You will gain a new life. You will gain tremendous power surpassing all limits." Hearing this, Belden clenched his fists. "The blade of revenge I've been preparing for the past 7 years, it's time to sharpen it. As long as I can solve the final puzzle I've yet to crack, I can defy my natural limitations and achieve an unprecedented physical reconstruction. Tomorrow, I will break through my limits." As he spoke, a golden light appeared in Belden's hands. Belden sighed in amazement. "This heaven-defying theory I desperately wanted. I never thought I'd complete it after accepting death. Now, to prove this ultimate theory of mine, even if it shatters this body that cannot wield magic, I must try. Tomorrow night, I will regain my freedom." After the long evening passed, Belden finally reached the day to execute his plan. The blonde guard skillfully opened the door and shouted inside, "Hey, trash! Time to clean the potion research lab. Don't just stand there like an idiot. Cover up your wounds quickly, useless thing." Belden quietly complied and walked out with heavy steps. As he was cleaning the laboratory equipment, he suddenly heard a voice behind him. "Are you organizing alone?" It was Robolin. The girl smiled gently at him. She said she wanted to say goodbye to her friend before leaving. Belden forced a smile. "You're going to study abroad in the magical capital of Willanthe, right? That's a rare opportunity. Congratulations. Take care on your journey." The girl looked at him seriously, then extended her hand. "Belden, my offer still stands. Come with me. There you won't be threatened or tormented, and there won't be idiots looking down on you, and..." The girl suddenly blushed. "I just want someone to talk to. Don't read too much into it." But the answer she got was, "Robolin, I need to stay here." Robolin hesitated, but ultimately respected his decision. Belden watched her carriage depart. "Robolin, you know nothing. You don't know what happened here, or what I've endured all this time. But I'm glad you won't be dragged into my plan. Today is the Magic Tower's annual celebration, one of the world's most famous commemorative days. After the celebration begins, high-ranking mages head to the major cities, leaving only lower-ranking mages at the tower. Belden knocked on the door. He explained he needed to clean the treasury and was granted permission. "Go ahead, you tactless fool, just don't break anything." The first thing Belden did upon entering the treasury was activate an artifact. A faint purple light appeared. The artifact had isolated all sound. Good, now it truly begins. He slowly descended the stairs, finally stopping before an artifact. The second circuit is a man-made artifact the Tower Master invested heavily in creating, giving mages triple attack capabilities. Belden needed to obtain it to complete his plan, but first he had to break through the protective magic surrounding it. But over the past 7 years, he had continuously studied how to breach this magic circle. As he raised his hand, the Tower Master's prized creation shattered before him. At the door to the tower's power source, 2 mages were still complaining about missing the celebration. Then the bearded man noticed some movement. "What the hell? Oh, it's just Belden. Go get us more wine." The 2 laughed and joked, completely ignoring Belden as he turned away. Belden's expression darkened. The second circuit glowed blue in his hand. The green-haired man froze in terror because the bearded man who'd been bragging just a moment ago was suddenly decapitated. He was shocked and quickly looked back. "Belden? Are you insane?" Belden coldly replied, "You seem completely caught off guard. The green-haired man gritted his teeth. You lowly creature dare attack a mage? Let me wake you up. Third level magic wave. Belden remained unfazed and calmly said. Third level magic earth sphere. A massive stone penetrated through the water and brutally impaled the green-haired man's body. As he stared in disbelief, Belden pointed the artifact directly at him. That's why you should never push people too far. You and this tower alike. After dealing with them, Belden pushed open the door. This was his first time seeing the tower's power source from this angle. A massive purple heart. He removed his shirt, preparing to use the power source's energy to execute his plan. Though failure would mean an uncertain fate, but how would he know without trying? He stood in the magic circle holding the artifact. Everything was ready. As Belden activated his magic power, the entire tower was instantly enveloped in blue light. The energy grew stronger and stronger until it shot into the sky, illuminating the entire night. Even the tower master sitting in his carriage was startled. This is the power source's magic. He turned angrily. Has someone invaded my tower? After a violent explosion, smoke filled the air. Belden struggled to climb out from the rubble. I didn't expect the destructive power to be so strong it leveled this entire area, yet I'm still alive. Does this mean I've successfully defied heaven? Before he could catch his breath, he saw a beam of light approaching from the distance. Someone was controlling a magic circle heading this way. He knew immediately it must be the Tower Master. The Tower Master was just meters away from him. A powerful attack triggered an explosion. But when the smoke cleared, there was no one there, leaving the Tower Master completely baffled. He looked closely and saw a spatial teleportation magic circle. Who dares to touch my tower and run? Barak flew into a rage. Whoever you are, even if you're the Emperor of the Empire, I will find you and kill you with my own hands. On the other side of the continent, the sun was shining brightly. Belden felt dizzy and weak with no strength left in his body. Hearing the sound of water, he rushed over and drank greedily. Wait, where is this? Wasn't I escaping? And my face has changed. What's going on? He touched his face in disbelief. His originally brown hair had turned gray, and his dark eyes had been replaced by clear, azure blue ones. I've almost become a different person. Did something go wrong during the physical reconstruction? He recalled that after touching the power source, he had indeed defied heaven and escaped using spatial teleportation magic before the Tower Master discovered him. And now, this place. The clear flowing water, the azure sky. This is my first time seeing this forest. There's no such vegetation near the Bohemian Magic Tower. Does this mean I successfully traveled half a continent's distance? With a new body and having escaped, thinking of all this, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. The Tower Master must be furious. His tower reduced to rubble with no idea who did it. Unfortunately, the tower won't decline because of this. Even with the power source gone, Barake, the all-capable Tower Master, will have a solution. Belden smiled slightly. But this is enough. While the tower rebuilds, I can accumulate power for revenge. I'll destroy everything he has right in front of him and make the world remember the name Belden. Revenge and becoming a mage. These are my only goals. Just then he noticed a goblin swaggering around causing destruction. Wind slash. A whirlwind like a blade swept through. In an instant, the creature was decapitated. Afterward, Belden realized using magic had no side effects on him whatsoever. This new body is excellent. Magic power beyond normal levels. If goblins are swaggering around here openly, it means the village is still quite far. Belden noticed wagon wheel tracks on the ground and the luggage crate the goblin had been destroying. Did it fall off because the wagon was going too fast? He activated his magic sensing to locate the owner of the luggage. He sensed a wagon racing frantically. You stupid horses, run faster! But even so, he found the road ahead had come to an end. He had run into remnants of bandits recently subjugated while passing through the forest. The mercenaries he'd hired said they didn't want to die and fled. Then, to his misfortune, he encountered the terrifyingly vicious half-orcs. In a stroke of luck, the bandits and half-orcs fought each other, allowing him to slip away. Giddy-up! Go faster, you stupid horses! In his haste, the wagon wheel caught on a tree root and immediately flipped over. He was thrown from the wagon, wrenching his back. Worse still, glowing eyes in the forest were watching him intently. It was the group of half-orcs. The young man trembled in fear, regretting not choosing an auspicious day to travel. As the half-orcs all charged toward him, it was clearly a deadly situation. An earth wall formed, encasing him. Belden stood above, though he had forgotten to open an air hole. But as long as I solve this before he suffocates, it should be fine. He gathered scorching flames in his hand. This is my first real battle. Come on. This number is perfect for testing my abilities. Belden waved his hand lightly, and flames flew like arrows toward the goblins. In an instant, they were blown away in chaos, fleeing in all directions, while the massive half-orc continued commanding the remaining goblins to charge at Belden. Belden remained calm, forming both fire and wind magic circles in his hands. Pressure descended upon the goblins' heads, creating massive explosions one after another. Before long, the entire group of goblins was burned to charcoal. He then summoned rain to extinguish the flames, marveling at his own incredible power. Just as he was about to rescue the coachman buried in the earth, a goblin appeared behind him for a sneak attack. Fortunately, Belden reacted quickly. One wind slash beheaded it. The scene shifted to the wagon where the coachman was frantically thanking Belden. How can I repay this kindness? Belden remarked, you should watch the road, otherwise the wagon will flip again. He then asked the coachman if bandits were common in this area. Usually where there are demi-humans, bandits are rare. The coachman explained this was his first time encountering them. This area belongs to Baron Piet's territory. I've known the Lord since childhood. We often correspond. He said he recently subjugated some bandits. Belden was stunned. This is Baron Piet's territory, which means my spatial teleportation teleportation succeeded. Though I've changed my appearance and body, the Bohemian Magic Tower might still track me. With this thought, he decided to conceal his true identity. He smiled and introduced himself to the coachman. My name is Asher. After much commotion, they finally arrived at Lord Piet's castle that evening. Baron Piet was shocked. Conrad, we haven't seen you in a while. Why have you lost weight? Conrad scratched his head awkwardly. Probably from dodging all those half-orcs. Baron Piet quickly consoled him. It's all my fault. Bandits and demi-humans both. Then he noticed Belden. He's the benefactor who saved my friend. I must show proper gratitude. The scene shifted to Belden thanking Lord Piet. Thank you for providing me with clothes, a meal, and lodging. Lord Piet ordered a feast to be prepared. I've prepared 5 million elks. Ask whenever you need them. Also, I'd like to ask you a favor. Belden thought to himself that he needed money anyway, and this was a good opportunity. Could you please elaborate? The Baron explained that a few days ago, several hanged corpses appeared in the southern forest, all of them villagers. The village was also reduced to ruins. They suspect it was the work of a bandit group. However, they searched the entire territory without finding any trace of the bandits, as if they'd used magic. Although this is all speculation so far, I still hope you can join us in subjugating the bandits in 4 days. 4 days later, the army assembled and was ready to depart. The participants included Baron Piet's knights, the commander Enoch, and 2 young men, Harris and Felix. Though Belden had agreed, he still complained internally. I didn't expect to go on a subjugation mission so soon. He noticed a group of adventurers also part of the subjugation force. Enoch explained they had gathered because of the recent half-to-orc incident. Probably because the reward is so high, even gold-ranked adventurers came. Gold-ranked adventurers have combat power equivalent to regular knights. They're experts at using aura, physical combat, and weapons. Belden was puzzled. We already have 3 knights on this mission. Why call me? Enoch explained that if there's a mage among the bandits casting magic from a distance, knights would have trouble moving. Of course, it would be best if there's no mage. But Belden suddenly stopped. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. There's a magic circle ahead. After speaking, Belden shouted, "Dispel!" A blood-red magic circle appeared in the sky. Before everyone could react in shock, Belden explained he'd just dispelled a camouflage spell. He told everyone to step back while he prepared to dispel the magic circle. He raised his palm lightly, and the magic circle immediately shattered. This scene shocked Enoch. He destroyed the magic circle so easily. Just who is he? Adventurers are groups affiliated with guilds who take commissions to defeat monsters. Though they usually walk hand in hand with death, people still aspire to become them. But once an adventurer betrays their honor and turns their blade toward humans, they become bandits. The scarred man before them was furious. Piet's subjugation team didn't handle things properly, and now there are half-orcs, and now they're out of food. 2. What are you all standing around for? Go see if there's other prey around. Enoch and his men also spotted them, just waiting for his command to attack. Just as Enoch was about to order the charge, Belden stopped him. He pointed out they hadn't assessed the enemy's strength yet. Charging in recklessly could backfire. At that moment, 2 bandits were discussing strategy, as many of their subordinates had been killed by half-orcs. Scarface suggested they could raid other villages. Blue Hair was clearly a mage. He said that hanging corpses in trees had already enraged the Baron. Though I've set up concealment magic, we should prepare to move now. They were about to say more when a fireball crashed near them, followed by a tremendous explosion. The 2 bandits immediately realized this wasn't ordinary flame but magic. Then 3 knights simultaneously charged at them with slashing attacks. As sword light clashed violently with the shield, Blue Hair was sent flying, coughing blood. Belden said calmly, "Now we know their strength. I'll handle the mage." The black-haired man drew his twin blades and snarled, "The Baron's determined to kill us and even hired a mage. You think he'll get his way?" He swung his blades and engaged Enoch in combat. "I'll send your heads to the Baron and show him my answer." Enoch smirked contemptuously. How terrifying. Meanwhile, Belden had been chasing the injured blue-haired man for quite some time. Then Blue Hair stopped. He saw that Belden was chasing him on an earth wall rather than flying, so he concluded Belden was only second tier. Then he launched multiple ice arrows at Belden. Belden remained calm. He raised his palm. Multiple fire arrows. In the violent collision of the 2 attacks, the forest floor was blasted with a massive crater. Blue Hair smugly wiped the blood from his mouth. "You're quite strong for a second tier, but you picked the wrong opponent. No knights followed. I'll easily finish you off and escape," Belden said coldly. "I don't plan on letting you go." Blue Hair laughed even more sinisterly. "An excellent newcomer like you probably never imagined you'd be humiliated here." With that, he activated 3rd-tier magic, Ice from Above, as the massive icicle was about to fall on Belden's head. What baffled Blue Hair was, his full-power attack was blocked by Belden with one hand. Earth Sphere! Belden activated his skill. With a light squeeze of his palm, the massive icicle shattered into fragments. Earth Sphere, 3rd-tier magic. Blue Hair gasped. Impossible. Not only did he use 3rd-tier magic, he has 4 attributes. That's impossible. But there was no time left for shock. An earth pillar pierced through his chest. Belden felt somewhat fortunate. Good thing I followed. I learned how to fight other mages. Meanwhile, the red half-orc's eyes were fierce, and around its neck hung a gold-ranked adventurer's necklace. 2 days before the expedition, Belden had used materials brought from the tower to create a reagent. Thanks to that reagent, he successfully advanced to 3rd tier. Seeing that Blue Hair was already dead, Belden thought it best to keep something as proof. He noticed the Ice Element Magic Staff. This is a magic stone staff that increases casting speed and ice spell power. Knight Felix also caught up. "Lord Asher, you're safe." Seeing his concern, Belden explained the enemy was stronger than expected, so it took a bit longer. Then he asked curiously how spoils from bandits are handled. Felix replied, "The Lord said said, "If you see any spoils you want, you may freely choose." Belden was touched. "Then I'll take the magic staff." Meanwhile, Knight Enoch had arrested all the bandits. Scarface was shocked to hear of Blue Hair's death. How is that possible? He secretly grabbed a small knife from behind. "I can't be captured and taken back to the territory. I still have so much left to do. I'll risk it." He swung the knife, forcing several soldiers back. Then without hesitation, he lunged at Enoch. He knew that with the mage dead, there was no way to break through the encirclement. So he planned to kill the knight, steal his horse, and escape. But Enoch simply stepped aside, then tossed his sword away. As Scarface watched in shock, Enoch grabbed him by the collar and delivered a brutal throw. Subdued again, Scarface protested angrily. "You even threw away your sword. Don't you have any knightly honor?" Hearing this, Enoch mocked with a smile, drawing his short sword. "Honor is something you have when you're alive, dear bandit." With that, Scarface was beheaded. Enoch began apologizing to Belden. "I'm sorry you had to witness such an unseemly sight." He then ordered the return journey, with soldiers escorting all the bandits. One criminal struggled to escape. "I don't want to be taken back. I don't want to die." Just as the knight moved forward to pursue, Belden stopped him. "Wait, something's not right." Constant wails and cries for help echoed from the forest. Then the strong smell of blood wafted from the woods. The fleeing bandit's head rolled to the ground. Everyone stood at the ready. "That thing looks like a half-orc. It seems the adventurers failed in their subjugation. Is something that huge really a half-orc?" Belden sensed there was more than one demi-human nearby, which meant this one was the leader of the demi-humans. Compared to the previous demi-humans, these seemed to have completed an evolution. The red demi-human pointed forward, and the goblins launched their charge. Enoch ordered them to deal with the goblins first, then handle the half-orc. The half-orc moved incredibly fast, sending Enoch flying with one strike. Just as it was about to stomp the knight into paste, Belden summoned an earth mound that sent it flying. While it staggered unsteadily, Enoch leaped up and stabbed toward its chest. With this strike, the half-orc crashed to the ground, and the knight was also exhausted. Unexpectedly, it reached out and grabbed a goblin, and to everyone's astonishment, devoured it, immediately recovering most of its fighting strength. Everyone felt uneasy. It recovers by devouring its companions? Looks like we can't return to the territory with peace of mind. The monster charged explosively forward and threw the blade in its hand. The knight barely blocked the attack. As he wondered what was happening, his sword shattered from the force. The strike directly severed his arm. Without time to check on his companion, the half-orc grabbed for another knight. Seeing it was barehanded, the knight gathered his strength to cut it in two. However, his full-powered strike barely pierced the monster's muscle, and now the sword was stuck, and the half-orc was about to flatten him with one palm. Belden summoned earth blocks to save him. Felix retreated backward, but his sword was still stuck in the monster's body. Too powerful. Is this really an orc? Could it be a legendary species? But Belden interrupted him. It can regenerate and strengthen by devouring. It can command subordinates to destroy recklessly and has the power to overwhelm knights. This is definitely not an ordinary orc. But if that's all it is, it's still too weak to be considered a legendary species. Ordinary magic has limits. If you exceed these limits, no amount of magic power will work. This is the law of magic. But there's one spell without this limitation, and that's terrain manipulation. Belden activated his magic, and the surroundings began to shake violently. The nearby soldiers began to panic. "We're done for. Orcs and earthquakes. We're dead." Enoch quickly commanded the soldiers to stay put. "This is Lord Asher's magic." To everyone's shock, Belden leveled the forest into a pit, exposing all the monsters. Then came violent tremors as the monsters fell into the massive pit. Belden formed a giant fire magic circle in his hands like a deity. Then swarms of monsters were burned to charcoal. Seeing this, Felix applauded. "This is absolutely incredible. Third-tier terrain magic has no operational limit, but requires massive amounts of magic power. If only I had more powerful magic. I wish I could use magic stronger than third tier." Just when everyone thought it was over, that orc had actually survived the inferno. Belden wasn't panicked. He summoned wave magic. The monsters were instantly submerged in floodwater. Belden took advantage and leaped down. Mid-air, using the magic staff's enhancement, he unleashed ice magic. Powerful ice pillars instantly pierced through the orc. The nearby goblins were also unable to move. However, this orc possessed an undying ability. It swung its palm at Belden. Belden barely dodged and then looked for a countermeasure. Even if this monster has an undying ability and no sense of pain, just freezing it should work. Belden cast again, and the orc was frozen solid. Meanwhile, in the magic city of Willanthay, two mages were discussing recent news. The magic tower actually exploded, and the core energy source was destroyed. Several mages had been sent to investigate. Now the prevailing theory is that it was a deliberate disaster. The old man continued, "I heard the magic tower was conducting secret experiments and was attacked because of it." Elsewhere, Roblin also heard this news. "What happened to the magic tower?" The scene returned to Piet's territory, where everyone was raising their glasses in celebration, celebrating the conqueror's triumphant return with no casualties. Baron Piet kept toasting Belden. Even ordinary soldiers partook in this joyous feast. Having defended their homeland, they were not treated as inferior here. Lord Piet asked if the bandits they encountered were very strong. Belden explained they were indeed formidable, exceeding expectations. Those two had been gold-ranked adventurers who became bandits after committing crimes. On the bounty board, they had 1,000,000 elk bounty. One reason Baron Piet was so pleased. Belden saw the Baron give him a shy smile. "You not only eliminated the bandits, but also dealt with the half-orcs. The Adventurers Guild praised you. You're the pride of this territory." Ultimately, Ultimately, thank you for your contributions. Cheers. Wine flowed freely, a scene of pure joy. This warm and sincere environment captivated Belden. Everyone drank together without class distinctions. This was the first time he'd smiled genuinely since escaping the tower. However, no one realized that the collapse of the Bohemian Magic Tower would trigger upheaval. Roblin rushed back to the tower anxiously and found it intact, happily thinking it was just a rumor. A man beside her told her the tower could be rebuilt quickly. Roblin looked around happily for Belden, but the answer she received was missing persons information. No, this can't be. Images of Belden's face and voice floated through her mind. She couldn't help but cover her face and weep. Was that our last meeting? She was on the verge of collapse. He was my closest person here. Then a hand stroked her hair. Anger won't change anything. She looked back. It was Tower Master Barake. She choked up and asked, what exactly happened to the tower? Barake appeared righteous and consoling. As you can see, reduced to rubble. Everyone there completely disappeared. Not only that, but years of research data are all gone. Spell books and artifacts too. The loss is immeasurable. But the worst loss is experimental subject number 77. At this point, he smiled wickedly. Though I didn't catch the main culprit, I found a clue. 3 hours before the tide came, someone vanished without a trace. I traced this person and found this. Roblin was stunned. Isn't this the symbol of Black Obsidian? An organization that doesn't just study magic, but tries to rule the world. What are they doing? Barake explained that though they don't know how they infiltrated, they can confirm they were definitely involved. To appease those who died innocently, I formed an extermination squad. There's a position reserved for you. Roblin, from your expression, I think you've already agreed. A few days later, at the Adventurers Guild in Piet's territory, the guild representative was frantically apologizing to Belden. We classified this orc threat as high danger, but the subjugation results were still disastrous. Thank you so much. This is a certificate of gratitude for the subjugation. Belden looked at it. Besides the quest reward, there was also a bounty on the orc corpse, roughly 12 million elks. The representative explained this was after deducting standard taxes. Here, taxes take half. But there's a way to avoid taxes. Become an adventurer. He enthusiastically explained that their guild offers lower tax rates to higher-ranked adventurers. Belden felt becoming an adventurer might affect his future movements, so he forced a smile. This amount is enough for me. Belden came alone to the Adventurers Guild warehouse. As a mage, he was also a mysterious seeker. He lifted the cover off the mutant's corpse. He was quite surprised. This blanket could maintain the corpse's frozen state, though the stench was truly unbearable. The orc's pink skin and pupils weren't remarkable, but the torn mouth was certainly striking. But these were nothing compared to what the orc lord possessed. Its intelligence was also lacking, so it could be classified as a mutation rather than evolution, though this conclusion was strange. But this thing also possessed tremendous strength and regenerative ability. Then he suddenly noticed there was a wound on the monster's body. This monster's regenerative ability was extremely powerful. Even fire wouldn't leave scars. Could it be that after experiencing this wound, it gained its regenerative ability? For demi-humans, the only way to gain abilities is through evolution. But in this case, it's very possible someone artificially created this mutant. The time came to say farewell. As two knights saw Belden off, Felix waved happily. You're my life's savior. Seeing you off is the least I can do. This made Belden rather embarrassed. Finally, Felix told Belden he could mention his name at Conrad Trading Company branches in other cities. In a flash, he arrived at a village between Piet's territory and Count Master's territory. Belden looked at the map. So this is the only village between the city and the Count's territory? If I rest here tonight and go to the city tomorrow, the timing will be perfect. He heard two large men discussing what seemed like useful information, so he activated wind ear magic to eavesdrop. Anyway, the problem lies with the goblins. Not only did they eat our livestock, but we had to pay good money to hire adventurers. Belden was startled. Goblins had appeared nearby. Goblins are like pests. They start with small mischief, but once their numbers grow, they'll steal and raid villages. Hearing this, Belden was about to leave, but then he heard them mysteriously discussing monsters. Belden's curiosity was piqued. A few days ago, James went to check the traps he'd set in the forest. Then he heard a wild boar squealing, so he turned around. A torn-mouthed goblin larger than an orc was devouring the boar. Bigger than an orc? Is that possible? Keep your voice down. If adventurers hear, they'll charge more. Belden thought, so it's a troll with a torn mouth. What an unexpected find. This really doesn't seem like a coincidence. After some time in the forest, silver-ranked adventurers were hunting goblins. They were Milna and Rock. The two bickered while their companion reminded them they were on a mission. They came to a cave that resembled a goblin nest. The lead female adventurer explained there might be higher species inside, but careful attention to terrain would keep them safe. First, after entering the cave, destroy all warning devices and totems. The blue-haired girl activated magic, granting everyone vision in darkness. The adventurers then departed and entered the cave. Inside the cave, a group of goblins were bowing before a pile of skeletons. Suddenly, a gleaming arrow pierced straight through their heads. The adventurers flashed into view. In the blink of an eye, they cleared out several small goblins. Suddenly, they heard an eerie sound. The blonde girl suggested it might just be a small imp, and she'd scout ahead. However, when she moved forward, the scene before her eyes left her stunned, revealing deep terror. An enormously massive goblin was devouring its own kind. Under the dark shadow, everyone felt a chill down their spines. Is the troll a mutant? The quest description Belden didn't mention anything like this. They immediately formed a battle plan. Milna would attack its eyes, while Wenger and Milo would buy time. Taking it by surprise, Milna shot an arrow at the monster's eye. The attack was effective. Blood spurted from the goblin. Then the two men instantly charged forward. One raised his shield to block the attack. The other swung his sword at the goblin's neck. But this strike wasn't very effective. The goblin grabbed at him. The blue-haired girl had finished charging her magic, and massive beams of light shot toward the goblin. The power was tremendous and the effect obvious. The troll covered its face and howled. It grabbed a small goblin and hurled it at the mage. "Captain, look out! Get down!" In that critical moment, a powerful lightning spell blocked the attack. The girl came to her senses, her heart racing. Then Milna shot another arrow straight into the goblin's head. The monster could no longer hold on and collapsed to the ground. The group rushed forward to check on their captain's condition. The blue-haired girl explained that if she'd been hit, she would have died, but an attack deflected it. "In any case, we completed the mission without casualties. Let's head back now." Behind them, Belden smiled slightly. "Fortunately, the worst didn't happen, and fortunately, I followed them," witnessing another sample from the laboratory. "Both experimental subjects I've encountered now have that clown-like torn mouth. But this clown doesn't seem to have enhanced strength or gotten stronger from eating its kind. Perhaps it's a failed specimen?" At that moment, the blue-haired girl suggested they check again in case more monsters remained. Just as Belden was thinking he hadn't gained much, he heard a voice. A sinister-looking man emerged. The adventurer team immediately raised their guard. "Who are you? Identify yourself, or we'll attack." The man smiled with hidden malice. "I'm the guardian of this place you've destroyed. This useless test subject. Even with brain manipulation, we couldn't suppress its instincts, which is why this location was exposed. By the way, did you notice any abnormal behavior in the goblins you saw? From your silence, I'm guessing it was just a normal one. The professor will go crazy when he finds out," he said casually. "To keep this secret, all of you must die." The adventurers were stunned. "You're saying you'll take on all of us alone?" The man scoffed. "Of course. You destroyed the experimental facility and can't keep the secret. Even if you wanted to keep the secret, you'd still have to die. I'm dying to hear your screams." Then a terrifying aura emanated from him. "So, who wants to die first?" Suddenly a voice came from behind him. "The only one who needs to die is you." The man quickly turned around. A massive explosion sent him flying. Belden remarked dryly, "Talking about who wants to die first and all that. The one who really deserves to die is you, right?" He hadn't planned to intervene, but considering the team behind him might be completely eliminated by this man. And he had just mentioned the goblin was an experimental subject. Mentioning someone called the professor in the background, this was undoubtedly related to the clowns. The man whose plans were disrupted gritted his teeth. "Who are you?" Belden gathered magic in his hands. "I don't think I'm obligated to answer that." The man stood up. "Fine, you're about to die anyway." He charged at Belden with his sword. Belden raised his magic staff lightly, multiple flame arrows, but the man blocked this attack with his sword. Seeing his fierce approach, Belden deployed a shield to block the sword. Unexpectedly, the shield cracked instantly. He had to use a shockwave to knock the man back. The man's speed made even Belden break out in a sweat. He had to change his attack strategy. The man also praised Belden, using 3 spells in succession. "I can't tell what tier you are at all. I'll have to speed up. Let's see how you handle this." Belden deployed magic circles for both wind and ice skills. Ice spikes shot toward the man at incredible speed. The man could only dodge desperately, using 2 elemental circles simultaneously. Truly impressive. But he pushed forward again, using his speed to flash behind Belden. This sneak attack was extremely swift, but Belden still managed to dodge it. This scene shocked everyone. How could a mage have that kind of speed? Before the man could recover from his shock, a fireball sent him flying again. The man taunted, "Isn't this just the standard mage tactic of pretending to show an opening to bait me?" Belden said seriously, "If traps won't work, then I'll fight like a true mage." Then, accompanied by the blue-haired girl's scream, under violent tremors, the ground beneath everyone's feet began to rise. The girl came to her senses in disbelief. Terrain manipulation magic consumes enormous amounts of power, yet he's using it in actual combat. Dual casting large-scale spells, his magic power must be incredibly abundant. Yet I've never seen such a figure before. The black-haired man laughed lightly. "Talk about fighting properly, yet you're hiding up so high. What kind of fighting is that?" But he suddenly realized the adventurer team had also been brought up, and the ice beneath his feet was being melted by flames. He had an ominous premonition. Belden raised his palm slightly as lightning gathered in his hand. A powerful lightning bolt shot straight at him. Lightning magic is advanced and powerful. Even among academy professors, only a few can use it. "Damn it, just who are you?" Belden cast again. Flames, boulders, waves all crashed down on him. As the magic fused, a violent explosion swept through the entire cave. As the dust settled, Belden slowly descended. "I'll ask you something. In Piet's territory earlier, there was an orc similar to this goblin. Are they all connected to this professor?" The man trembled in response. "I thought it was safe there. You're the mastermind who killed it, aren't you? Are you from the Ark?" Belden was stunned and asked where the professor was. The man knew finding the professor would be dangerous. "The professor is..." Then with lightning speed, he spat out a hidden weapon from his mouth. This petty trick had no effect on Belden. "So that's your answer?" With the man's scream, Belden expressed slight regret. "I thought I'd found some clues, but the effort was in vain." He looked at the adventurers. "I still have things I must do. From now on, you must follow my orders." But his request was only to obtain more compensation from the village chief. Belden took out a payment and gave it to the blue-haired girl Iris. "This is your commission. Please take me from this village to Mattress." So Belden followed Iris's team to their destination. With Iris constantly asking him about magic principles along the way. Soon, Belden reached his destination. He thought of finding a bank first. He proposed to the adventurer team that he needed to settle some bounties and open a bank account. Iris happily led him to the city hall. The other three adventurers were shocked to see their captain so close to Belden. They arrived at the city hall that manages bounties. Initially, Belden was denied entry because this body hadn't established an identity yet. Fortunately, Baron Piet's guarantee allowed him entry. Hearing that, Belden brought a recommendation letter from the Baron. The city hall leader was all smiles. He gave gifts and expressed gratitude for defeating the bandits in Piet's territory. Finally, he even gave Belden an identity card. Thanks to the ID card, Belden's bank account was successfully opened. He still kept his account in Willanthay, but considering continued use might allow the Tower Master to track him, it was better to be cautious. Belden came to a magic shop. Preparing to turn his magic stone staff into a wand, he needed to spend more time preparing materials. A few days later, his magic wand was completed. After a while, the two came to the mattress library. Belden proposed finding some basic magic books here, so all the magic books in the library were purchased by Belden. His deep pockets and strange behavior completely shocked both of them. Iris, who had been moving books for hours, collapsed on the spot, but the man before her made her intensely curious. "Did I take you to all the places you wanted to go today?" Belden confirmed casually. "Let's call it a day." Iris asked curiously about Belden's name. "My name is Asher. Please call me whatever is most convenient." The girl slammed the table. "Then I'll call you Ash. You can be casual with me too." She then stammered with a question she wanted to ask. "Ash, why were you in that cave?" Belden was caught off guard. This question was hard to explain, but he found an excuse. "I was tracking that person." Iris remembered Belden had indeed questioned the man in the cave. Could he be a mysterious agent tracking a secret organization? Belden closed his book. "I didn't gain much. Time to head back today." After saying goodbye to the girl, she slumped exhausted in her chair, finally over. This man can not only wield all elemental magic, he also has unfathomably deep magic power. His theory is solid, stronger than many academy professors. Plus, he has that handsome face that must be very popular. The only downside is when you talk to him, he's as stiff as a scarecrow. Thinking this, Iris blushed. His face keeps appearing in my mind. Either way, among the mages I've met, Belden is definitely the most outstanding. Just as he was about to return, an explosion sounded in the distance. It was the hotel where Belden was staying, and a figure appeared above the flames. Belden's powerful, terrifying presence loomed over the sky. Not long ago, in a secret laboratory, a black-clothed man and the professor were conversing. "Seljan is dead. There are traces of magical attacks in the cave." The professor raged. "Have you found the culprit?" The black-clothed man could only explain they found some clues in the cave, including people who accepted the village's commission. The professor was exasperated. "This is too disappointing." "So the test subject died?" "Yes, all traces of the test subject have been completely erased," the professor said coldly. "You need to find that culprit, you useless waste. The experiments are almost complete. Have those ARC people found us?" He turned to the black-clothed man. "Get lost. Don't come back until you've killed that culprit." Then on Belden's side, he returned to the hotel. The black-clothed man hid in a concealed corner, just waiting for Belden to fall asleep. Suddenly, he noticed the surroundings seemed too quiet. Earth's bone! Powerful earth spikes attacked him. Fortunately, his timely dodge barely saved his life. Belden emanated a death god's terrifying pressure. The black-clothed man fled through the crowd. "Damn it, he's a complete lunatic. He just started attacking directly. He's at least a third-tier mage. I need to run quickly." As the black-clothed man ran, he incited chaos. There's a terrifying mage launching an attack. But Belden took all this in. This assassin didn't even trigger my alarm. He was hiding without any flaws, but that's exactly why he stood out. Like a black hole on white paper. An attack precisely struck the assassin. This shocked him greatly. How did he sense me? And he's throwing spells around without caring about civilian casualties. I've never seen such a monster. Seeing the magic arrows catching up from behind, he could only leap and hide in a building. Belden also descended from the air. The building was full of vagrants. Belden politely asked a nearby vagrant if he'd seen anyone come in. The bald man said he'd need payment to provide information. The mage noticed the cramped, narrow space clearly had nowhere to hide. As he pondered this, the black-clothed man drew his blade and stabbed through the vagrant. Belden realized he was being ambushed. He immediately deployed a shockwave that sent him flying. After this strike, the black-clothed man felt immense pressure. Normal mages can't use offensive and defensive magic simultaneously, so I can bait him into using a shield, then escape. Thinking this, he thrust his blade at Belden, but the magic barrier he expected didn't appear. Belden held his staff and leaned back slightly. One strike of the staff sent him flying. Damn it, his close combat is this strong too? Then came Earth's bone. But the black-clothed man released a smoke bomb and fled. Belden summoned a whirlwind to disperse the smoke. Finding his opponent had vanished, leaving only a small pool of blood. At the same time, a group of soldiers rushed through the door. "You're under arrest for arson and terrorist attack." At the city hall that night, the mayor was discussing with the adventurers guild leader. The mayor was somewhat confused. "You mean Mr. Asher is the culprit of this terrorist incident?" The other explained otherwise. Mr. Asher was the victim, and his fight with an assassin created the disturbance. The mayor was somewhat helpless. From Mr. Asher's perspective, he must be very frustrated. "What are the damages?" "The top floor of the hotel was mostly destroyed, and a wanted criminal from the slums was killed. Besides that, there's new testimony. Someone claims they encountered a mutant goblin and an attacker in the cave. However, when we went to the cave, we found it completely empty with no signs, not even traces of a fight." The mayor panicked a bit. Combined with the recent failed assassination assassination attempts on guild members. A group is targeting adventurers. The guild leader mentioned, when I tried to arrange knights as Mr. Asher's bodyguards, they were all reluctant, because there's a rumor that Asher is the real mastermind, a terrorist mage. This left the mayor completely stunned. Alright, I'll have a talk with my knights. The next day, Belden was in the reception room. His staff had reached its final form. A knight walked in. Mr. Asher, I'm Jason, deputy commander of the Master Knights. He sized up this rumored terrorist mage. I'll serve as your bodyguard. After Belden agreed to his request to live together, he took him away from the reception room. The weather was scorching, and they walked for several hours until dusk. The sweating Jason couldn't help but ask, where exactly are we going? Belden stopped in front of a house. Before Jason could speak, Belden had already raised his staff. After a violent explosion, the house before them was blown to pieces. Jason was dumbfounded. This guy must be crazy. Belden turned to explain. The assassin who tried to kill me is inside the house. When I fought him last night, I briefly touched his body and took the opportunity to apply a spell. This is magic I recently learned that can connect the other party's magic power to my own. The spell hasn't been dispelled, which means the assassin hasn't noticed it yet. Then they discovered an underground passage. Belden sensed the trail leading through the underground passage toward outside the city. He asked Jason if he knew about this passage, but Jason had never heard of it. However, an undiscovered safe passage leading outside the city meant there was a huge security breach in Mattress. He immediately drew his sword, preparing to seal this place. Our primary target is catching the assassin, Belden advised against it. Jason suggested seeking help from the knights. Belden jumped directly into the underground passage. Pursuing directly now is the best choice. The ignored Jason felt indignant, but still jumped down after him. Meanwhile, the black-clothed man in the tunnel was on his way back. Yesterday's battle had severely wounded him. To heal, he hid in the tunnel too long, wasting much time. At this rate, the professor will kill me. Should I escape? But he quickly dismissed the thought. I can't escape from Gluttony's clutches. All I can do now is beg for the professor's mercy. The professor saw him return and taunted, look who's back. He was furious. You actually managed to botch this so badly, making it known to everyone. What kind of assassin broadcasts his target to the entire block? How dare you come back? The black-clothed man could only explain everything, but the professor doubted he could return with just a grenade. After thinking deeply, something occurred to him. Take off your armor immediately and burn it, you idiot. Sure enough, magical traces appeared in the armor as it burned. The black-clothed man realized it must have been applied last night at that moment. The professor raged. We've been discovered. He quickly ordered the black-clothed man to stay and clean up traces while he evacuated with the samples, but a violent explosion came through the wall. Belden and Jason had found their hideout. It's time for this to end. Belden carefully examined the two before him. That one in front is the assassin, so the one behind must be the mastermind. The professor gritted his teeth. So you're that crazy mage? The arc really sent a different kind this time. Belden was startled. The word arc keeps appearing. Whatever, I'll subdue them first and interrogate them later. He released Earth's spear, but it was blocked by the black-clothed man. The professor said angrily, things have become like this, so what now? No other choice but to leave the black-clothed man to buy time. You're not going anywhere. Belden released magic arrows, but they were all blocked by the assassin. Belden faced a dilemma. If he strengthened his magic to kill him, he'd lose intelligence, but Jason immediately rushed up to block the assassin. Please pursue. I'll handle this. Belden didn't hesitate and chased after him, not even saying thank you. He pursued along the way, searching for the professor's trail. Suddenly, he smelled a foul odor of rotting corpses, and the professor seemed to have stopped fleeing. I didn't expect you to catch up so quickly. I'd love to show you my work. Countless fierce, malevolent eyes emerged behind the professor. Belden's expression remained unchanged. So these are the clowns I've been seeing? Clowns? The doctor smiled disdainfully. Sounds like mockery. These are evolved species I cultivated my own way. Though they're not perfect, they're certainly enough to stop invaders. He pressed a button, and countless mutant beasts broke free from their cages. Belden said coldly, defeating them one by one takes too much time. A thunderous sound broke through the air. The combined spell of lightning and ice, Thunder Wave, instantly annihilated the monsters. The defeated doctor cried out, madman. The intelligence was wrong. I thought he was just a third-tier mage. But with combination skills of this scale, he's at least fourth tier. If this continues, decades of my research will be destroyed. That absolutely cannot happen. With that, he pressed a red button. It's time to show my masterpiece. The blood-red humanoid monster in the cultivation tank revealed an eerie smile. Belden's imposing voice came. Where do you think you're running? The professor couldn't believe it. This is impossible. How did you get in so fast? Even if those were failures, no mage could instantly kill them all. Damn it, he must be a fourth-tier mage. But it's useless. This gluttony beside me is my child, my masterpiece. As he was about to press the red button, Belden immediately realized something was wrong. Golden magical light severed the professor's arm. It was still a step too late. The monster slowly revealed its true form. The professor, his arm severed, still laughed maniacally. Your magic power will all become its nourishment. The monster with its gaping maw spoke human words. I'm hungry. Even Belden couldn't help but be shocked. It spoke? Terrifying energy waves emanated from around Gluttony. You look delicious. Want to eat you. With that, it began using energy to strengthen its body. Facing the monster's extreme speed and skilled attacks, Belden could only deploy a shield. This truly is a masterpiece. As a researcher, I acknowledge it. He then sent the monster flying with one strike. But as a mage, it's no match for me. Belden had been used as a test subject in the magic tower for 7 years. When experiments ended and he returned to his room, he often had to suppress his inner rage. Perhaps that's the fundamental reason for his extreme anger now. His mind grew clearer, cold rationality taking control. Let's call the monster before me mortal. Its physical endurance matches the orc from Piat's territory. and its regenerative ability is also considerable, but its body's flexibility and speed are exceptionally superior. That's all there is to it. Belden raised his staff in a feint. As it dodged, earth spikes had already pierced through it. Then magic arrows continuously stabbed at it. The monster before me has only instinct, no technique. Fundamentally, it's still a beast-shaped human. It's all over. The monster was pinned firmly in place by earth spikes. Seeing this, the professor broke down. How is this possible? For decades, he had studied day and night, poring over materials, creating a perfect monster that could absorb energy. Now it was so easily defeated. No, that child was just too hungry. If you give me a chance, I'll feed it my hand. Then I'll kill that mage and leave this place. Belden didn't care what he was thinking and demanded where the experimental logs were. You said it was your child, right? If you don't answer, I'll kill it. The professor struggled to stand and took out the log. I don't mind sharing it with you at all. However, Belden merely flipped through it casually and then tossed it on the ground. I don't think I need this. The professor was shocked. Why? Belden explained. From a biological research perspective, this is undoubtedly top tier, even rivaling the Magic Tower's achievements. But it has nothing to do with me. No! The professor roared. Are you just going to kill me and that new human like this? If you tell me what the Arc and Gluttony are, I might reconsider. Just as Belden finished speaking, he noticed Jason arriving. It's time for this to end. Prepare to disappear. Belden raised his staff. Amid the professor's pleas for mercy, he burned him to ashes. Jason saw this and stepped forward with concern. Mr. Asher, are you all right? Belden said not to worry. What about you? Did you deal with the assassin? Jason explained he'd given him a good beating. That person's injuries were obviously more severe. Hearing such a vague answer, Belden suspected the assassin had actually escaped. He opened the professor's notes, which contained a map. Based on the terrain, this should be Mattress. So what's this circled in red? How puzzling. Just then, Belden suddenly felt a headache. Headache and power loss. These are signs of depleted magic. Did I overuse my magic power? A few days after the professor's plot was crushed, Mattress seemed to have returned to peace. The mayor was furious upon learning of the professor's plan and the underground passage. The knights entered a state of alert. The knights reinforced the blockade of the underground passage. What concerned Belden was the magic power expansion stimulant potion. Thanks to the injection of the drug, I shortened the growth time a mage needs. I've now reached the intermediate level of Tier 3 in the Weldon magic system. It's time for the next stage. Meanwhile, on the throne of a dark castle, a man heard the news of the professor's death and smiled darkly. One problem solved. I must meet this mage personally. A few days later at the Mattress training grounds, Belden practiced magic by waving his staff. The previous days, he'd searched for the location marked in the professor's log. It was an old, abandoned, unused facility. In the forest at the Mattress border, deep beneath a large tree, there's an entrance. After opening the mechanism and entering, they found nothing inside but rats. But they discovered the fang-shaped emblem mentioned in the professor's diary and thick, tough monster hide. Regarding the Arc and Gluttony, no useful information was obtained. Even so, Belden felt he'd done pretty well, crushing conspiracies, bringing peace. At the mayor's invitation, he came to the mayor's office. Mr. Asher, I owe you an enormous debt. Thanks to you for crushing the terrorists' plot, but we couldn't obtain more useful intelligence. Also, I ask for your understanding, because I must keep your contributions confidential. Belden expressed understanding, as leaking the terrorist plan would cause panic. Though reputation is very important, the mayor promised him another request to compensate. That is to enter Mattress's rare item vault, and you can choose any item you want from here. A mithril sword that can be infused with magic power. Advanced weapons and magic items are all available here. Belden praised the sword's material, but unfortunately, it's just a sword. Then he saw a magic wand that could reduce casting consumption, a cloak that slightly enhanced resistance. These don't seem very useful. He's considering whether to choose that sword and sell it. As he was contemplating, a small blue box began to resonate. He opened it and asked the mayor what this ring was, but this doesn't seem to be related to magic. You can choose something else. However, this selection took an entire day. The mayor hadn't expected him to take so long. Excuse me, it's time to make a choice. What Belden finally chose was a necklace that automatically releases a magic shield. The mayor thought for a moment. This is still too stingy. He took out the ring Belden had been staring at and gave it to him as well. This surprised Belden. Can I really take 2 items? Haha, you're Mattress's hero. Taking a small accessory is no problem. Belden looked happy. Also, I'll be staying in Mattress for a while longer to find something I need. Meanwhile, in the mines of Viron territory, a worker was laboring away. One swing of the hammer revealed a hard skull. The foreman came over and mocked him for being timid. Little did he know the skull with ghostly flames appeared behind him the next second. The undead monster quickly rose, terrifying and grotesque, launching attacks on the workers at lightning speed. People tried to evacuate, but most were already too late. After this incident, rumors began to spread. Undead creatures had appeared in Viron's mines. With the appearance of the undead, Viron declared a state of emergency. The tunnel survivors spread the word, and the entire territory fell into panic. News of Viron's tragic situation spread everywhere, and reached Mattress through messengers. On the Mattress side, the 3 members of the adventurer team were dumbfounded. Belden and Iris looked quite close as they studied magic together. Belden had been learning this enchantment magic for a full month. Next, in a forest in Mattress, an orc came into Belden's sight. With the enchantment's boost, both Belden's speed and strength were enhanced. He raised his staff high and swung it directly at the monster. Under the violent explosion, the orc was instantly obliterated. This scene shocked Iris. A mage had killed an orc through physical combat. What else couldn't this man do? Belden expressed his gratitude to her. The books were all destroyed. Without you, I wouldn't wouldn't have learned enchantment. This made Iris blush completely. This person is exceptionally capable, yet modest and humble. So romantic, yet seemingly uninterested in romance. After the hunt, they returned to the castle. Belden found the Adventurers Guildmaster already waiting for him. He explained to Belden about the undead incident in Viron. A large number of undead appeared in Viron's underground mines and Viron Border's mattress. Too many undead forced them to seek outside help. Rumors about them spreading viruses and curses scared off adventurers. Hearing you solved the terrorist plot, that's why I came for help. Belden was about to refuse, but he'd spent quite a bit of bounty money. It was time to accumulate some reputation. Belden's appearance on the streets immediately drew residents' praise for the terrorist mage's physique. He was a bit puzzled as this was the first time hearing such a title. Another thing he didn't expect was that the adventurer team would also come. Aren't you afraid of the undead, Iris? The girl said of course she was scared, but she didn't believe stupid rumors like spreading viruses. And we'll be supporting from the rear, not the front lines. This is a rare training opportunity. Belden smiled slightly. Let's hope it's a good opportunity. It's been a day since the expedition began. Belden continuously used flight magic to maintain distance from the carriages. Everyone couldn't help but worry about his magic power consumption. At this moment, Belden had already sensed something unusual, an undead army in the distance. Looks like civilians are being pursued. I'll fly over immediately. They're still far from the origin point, but there are quite a few. This is an opportunity. I've invested an entire month into this. Let's test its power. This is a grimoire I stole from the magic tower. Only third-tier intermediate or stronger mages can use it. In it, I inscribed a magic circle called Connection. This is the first test. With this thought, he directly activated terrain manipulation magic. The ground where the undead stood exploded into a massive crater. Belden slightly clenched his right palm. A gigantic hand-shaped boulder appeared from underground, crushing the skeletons to fragments. Then came another dual cast with flames. Scorching fireballs completely burned the monsters to ash. Everyone was shocked. He flew for a day and still had magic power to release such powerful magic. After completing this, Belden fell into thought. He'd registered earth element spells in the grimoire, and now the power was even stronger. Iris was greatly shocked. Such tremendous power. Could he already be a fourth-tier mage? At that moment, a surviving monster launched an attack on Iris. A muscular man appeared, and with just a wave of his hand, the skeleton exploded into powder. Everyone looked back and saw it was a platinum-ranked adventurer. He carried a giant axe on his back. I'm asking you, where did my prey go? The girl was startled. You mean the undead? They're already dead. The burly man was also stunned. There were dozens of them, and they're all dead? The report said there was an entire undead army. They're all dead, and these people are completely unharmed. He noticed Belden nearby. White hair, is this your work? I was hired to hunt those undead creatures. Since you stole my prey, you need to pay me. Belden stepped back. I'm quite curious what that price would be. The burly man saw him retreat and thought Belden wanted a one-on-one fight. Excitement flashed in his eyes. That would be quite interesting. The followers behind shouted in confusion. Why would Asher fight with a butcher? Butcher Garrick can't just be described as dangerous. He's incredibly strong with a violent temper. He once drunkenly injured knights who tried to stop him. Injuring knights, isn't that a serious crime? Why doesn't the guild punish him? Just then, another adventurer team appeared behind them. Because they need Garrick's power. The leader was Garrick's team mage, Gord. Another member urged him to stop talking and try to stop these two. Gord went up to block Garrick and urged him to calm down. If they fight, there will be more unnecessary trouble. Let me display magic to make him back down. Gord mocked Belden. You look quite smug. Let me show you my power. With that, Gord released magic pressure. Belden sensed the magical pressure, just third-tier intermediate level, with no effect on him. He slightly concentrated his magic, his gaze intensifying. Gord collapsed to the ground, unable to withstand the powerful pressure. Garrick realized something was wrong. This guy knocked down Gord so quickly. Gord's no weakling among mages. Hey, what's your name? Asher. Garrick broke into a smile. See you in Viron. Thus, the conflict quickly ended, and Mattress's dispatch teams soon arrived at Viron. Since they needed to protect people and transport supplies, they were a bit late. After Belden's conflict with the platinum-ranked adventurer, he'd obviously offended the team. The next day, Viron's Lord Fenard welcomed and received them. They would soon join Viron's army in heading to the mines. The goal was to annihilate all appearing undead armies. Meanwhile, Garrick's team also began to depart. The two ran into each other, and Garrick couldn't help but mock Belden. Don't tell me you're nervous. Belden was speechless. He couldn't be bothered to respond. The battle immediately began. At a glance, the undead seemed endless. Viron's army was also fearless, charging directly into close combat. But these skeletons would regenerate even after being shattered. As they struggled, a blood demon burst from the ground, opening its bloody maw. The soldiers could only retreat to avoid its edge. In this critical moment, Garrick leaped high like a descending deity. One blood demon is perfect for a warm-up. His fierce punch carried sparks. Hit by this heavy blow, the monster lay powerless, blood flowing. Garrick seized the opportunity to remove the blood demon's head. This scene shocked even the Lord at his power. But the next second, the burly man threw the monster's head toward Belden on the hilltop. Belden remained disdainful. Garrick taunted, "If you're not going to show your power, what are you standing there for, Asher?" As soon as he finished speaking, the ground beneath his feet began to shake violently. Belden's terrain manipulation magic. Not done yet. Massive flames shot skyward. Iris's team sweated profusely nearby. Ash used 2 large-scale spells consecutively. Garrick fought valiantly. Didn't expect someone who looked so gentle to have such a temper. I like that about you. Let's compete to see who kills more skeletons. Belden was utterly speechless. Why wasn't he crushed just now? So the two each displayed their skills, beginning a slaughter of the monsters. Under their competition, Viron's forces reached the mine's surroundings with fewer casualties. However, the mine's capacity was limited. Only a few could enter. Garrick and Belden were undoubtedly chosen. Seeing Garrick constantly showing goodwill toward Belden, Gord gritted his teeth in anger. He recalled that day's scene. He'd successfully used magic pressure, but was toyed with by that guy, completely powerless to fight back. I heard that guy is 3rd tier, but that's simply impossible. He's definitely hiding something. The army waited outside as everyone assembled and entered the mine. Leading the charge was the ranger from Garrick's team. She was quite powerful, definitely gold rank, detecting danger ahead. Adventurer teams can generally help each other, complementing strengths. This was the team's advantage. However, the environment ahead made even Belden feel uneasy. The commander ordered a halt, as they seemed to have reached the mine's end. Belden wanted to use magic power to detect the entire cave, but monsters might discover it. If we could ambush the enemy first, we could save everyone. The big guy teased. You look nervous. Do you smell death? I guarantee there's a powerful undead nearby, and you really interest me. Though finding him annoying, Belden still confirmed his intuition and had Iris stay behind him. Just then, light eerily emanated from deep within the mine. Facing Belden's confusion, the leader explained. When checking other tunnels, they found all the light came from that tunnel's end. Belden immediately became alert. Besides the entrance, there shouldn't be other tunnels with light. We're underground. How could there be light? The next scene filled everyone with terror. What is this hellish place? A place like a tomb, with a majestic skeleton sitting atop thousands of skulls, and the badge on its chest was the royal medal of the Strauss Empire. So things from the Strauss Empire appearing in Levant's mines. This is very strange. Why would things from another country be here? This is a situation I never discovered in my intelligence. Garrick was eager to try and immediately wanted to deal with this skeleton king, but Gord stopped him. Let me handle this. You don't need to worry about just one undead. Let me do it. Under his command, the priests began the purification ritual. Belden also felt slightly relieved. Purification magic should be the optimal solution with minimal casualties. But that night seemed to have awakened. It attacked Gord at extremely swift speed. Fortunately, Garrick blocked this strike in time. From its movement speed, it's clearly not an ordinary death knight. Could it be a death knight? The priest explained in panic. That's called a wailing knight. Though the Wailing Knight doesn't match a Death Knight's individual combat power, its terror lies in other aspects. It has the ability to command other Death Knights in battle. Then our battle plan is clear. Defeat the Wailing Knight. With that, Belden raised his staff and activated terrain manipulation magic. After the familiar violent explosion, everyone fought against the Death Knight Legion, while Belden faced the Wailing Knight alone. The Wailing Knight roared, drawing its sword and charging at Belden. Belden pulled back distance. Multiple flame arrows. Undead are very sensitive and fearful of fire and holy magic. He increased firepower again, dual casting. Fireballs turned the mine into a sea of flames. The Death Knight still charged through the flames. Flame Spear. Belden unleashed his killing move. The scorching fire stream instantly pierced through the Wailing Knight's chest with precision, but the wound on its body rapidly healed, and it threw the sword in its hand at Belden. Fortunately, Belden's body was strong enough. I didn't expect it to be fine after taking that hit. Before he could think further, the monster charged at him again. He used freezing magic. In an instant, the Wailing Knight was frozen into an ice sculpture. Since fire doesn't work, I'll use raw magic power to crush you. Triple Earth Spear. As the magic deployed, the frozen Wailing Knight was directly blasted away by earth spikes, but the Wailing Knight seemed unaffected, emanating even more terrifying pressure. Even Belden was surprised. It not only blocked the earth spear, but also changed forms. What's worse, severe pain shot through Belden's head. His magic power seemed depleted. He desperately tried to pull himself together. If this continues, I'll be eliminated. Just then, Garrick, separated on the lower level, burst through the ground and sent the Wailing Knight flying with one punch. I won't let anyone else have the main course. He gathered his strength and forcefully suppressed the Wailing Knight with his axe. Then, with full force, he pummeled the monster with punch after punch, but almost simultaneously, he received the Wailing Knight's counterattack. Garrick desperately dodged the Wailing Knight's horizontal heavy sword slash, then pulled back distance. Belden adjusted slightly and stood up. Garrick looked at him. Why don't you rest more? Can you even stand? I never thought I'd get so much enjoyment from a corpse. I'll try to stall. You aim for it. With that, he leaped high. His axe sent the monster flying with a heavy blow. Unfortunately, it had little effect. The Wailing Knight seized the moment Garrick recovered, instantly reaching behind him. Fortunately, Belden's magic explosion knocked it away. Garrick took advantage and grabbed the Wailing Knight, using all his strength to slam it to the ground. Get clear! A powerful flame magic descended from Belden. As Garrick frantically dodged, he didn't notice a sword already stabbing toward him. He tried to catch it with his arm and leg, but was still stabbed in the chest. Belden's side wasn't optimistic either. The monster charged straight through the flames, grabbing at him. At the critical moment, fortunately, the necklace took effect. Even so, Belden was was still thrown away by the Wailing Knight. Belden, lying on the ground, had nearly depleted magic power, but fortunately hadn't suffered backlash. Another problem was his left arm had also been dislocated. The biggest issue was the Wailing Knight before him wore blood-red armor, nearly impenetrable. Several priests also dared to join the fight, throwing long ropes to tightly bind the Wailing Knight. But due to the power disparity, they were immediately flung away. Fortunately, Garrick caught them. Gord, secretly watching from behind, thought the opportunity had come. This was his chance to prove himself by defeating the Wailing Knight. He launched Earth Spear, attacking the monster by surprise. However, the powerful Ghost Knight merely swept lightly, and the flying stones hit Gord's major artery. Seeing this, Garrick and the priest immediately rushed forward to save him. The Wailing Knight moved forward, but Garrick held it down firmly. He asked Asher, "How much longer do you need? I know you're building up. A big move, right? How much longer to recover your magic?" "Just a few seconds." Belden gritted his teeth. "Good." Garrick's spirits lifted. His sandbag-sized fists pounded the Wailing Knight again. "I'll smash through the spot it was pierced before." Seize the opportunity to release magic. But the monster's resistance grew fiercer, elbowing Garrick's abdomen. "Damn it, corpses should stay where corpses belong. Die!" Garrick gathered all his strength and struck the monster, finally creating a large hole in that impenetrable armor. "Now!" The Wailing Knight instantly raged, using full force to blast Garrick away, the immense pressure deforming his body. Just as it was about to deliver a fatal blow to Garrick, Belden rushed forward. "Your opponent is me." The wound on its chest hadn't healed yet. Only one chance. Flames gathered in Belden's hands, but an attack separated the two. Iris's team had also come to support. Iris desperately gathered magic. She remembered Belden telling her, "You have great talent for using ice magic." Under Iris's cover, Belden found another opportunity. "Victory belongs to us." The unconscious Belden seemed to fall into some memory. The Wailing Knight's memory. "I will definitely return. My homeland is waiting for me, but we saw things we shouldn't have seen. Because of this, I can never go back. Even though I still held hope, I was pushed into eternal darkness." "No, Lorien!" Belden also suddenly awoke from the dream. Iris and the priest rushed forward with concern. "Ash, are you okay? The Wailing Knight has fallen. After that, you suddenly collapsed. It must be because you're holding the pendant. I sense a will similar to the Wailing Knight's." The priest said with concern, "Holding it continuously is harmful. Let me take it." Belden firmly declined. "I'll persist with it." Garrick laughed heartily. "That's his trophy anyway." Additionally, Gord also slowly recovered under the priest's aid. Belden stood up. "All right, everything's over. Let's go back." An undead creature that could command the undead. The Wailing Knight was defeated in the mine. Lord Viren was very shocked to hear this and ordered the site cleaned up. Fortunately, among those who entered the mine, not a single person died. Seeing the dead's memories, Belden felt uneasy as he sat on a high platform. "However, one thing is certain, I've become stronger. Perhaps battle is the fastest way to improve oneself, though I'm only 3rd tier. But with magic power enhanced through defying heaven and the connection established by the grimoire, I can release 4th tier large-scale magic. Even so, I'm still far from that goal." Thinking this, Belden clenched his fist hard. "As long as I don't give up, I'll definitely catch up." Thus, the undead incident was declared over. Clergy remained to monitor the mine. Adventurers also began their journey back to adventuring. Garrick was somewhat sad and asked Belden if he was leaving. "Looks like you don't plan to become an adventurer or mercenary. Are you turning gray?" Seeing Belden's confused expression about what gray was, Garrick explained. "Gray is like a dark intermediary who sells intelligence to those with power and guarantees. At the same time, they also act as intermediaries, passing requests to adventurers and mercenaries." This was all news to Belden, who had always stayed in the tower. Garrick added, "There are many people like you who crave wealth but don't want to be bound by rules. Why are you telling me all this?" Belden was puzzled. Garrick grinned. "Because we've been through life and death. That's enough to make us comrades, isn't it?" Belden fell into thought. "If there are high-risk missions, I'll face powerful opponents and have opportunities to grow stronger." At that moment, Iris was also ready to leave. She called to Belden. "Ash, come on. I still want to learn more about elemental magic. Why are you just standing there? You're not thinking of flying back, are you? You're still injured." Belden smiled slightly. "I'm going somewhere else. For using elemental magic. Just keep training like you have been." Hearing this, tears glistened in the girl's eyes. Everything happened so suddenly. Under Belden's instruction, she'd learned many spells and magic she hadn't learned even at the academy. Though she knew they would eventually part, she hadn't expected it to be today, so soon. "Goodbye, until we meet again." Belden smiled. "Goodbye. Next time we meet, I'll have grown enough to impress you." Meanwhile, Roblin was burning with rage. She grabbed a suspect and demanded, "Speak! Why did you attack the Bohemian Magic Tower?" This place called Dark Hour was a gathering place for fallen mages. In this place, Roblin hadn't found the truth about the tower's attack either. Could those low-ranking members all know nothing about it? Thinking of Belden's kind face, she couldn't help but feel angry and sad. Then a man stopped her. "I didn't expect a 2nd-tier magic to have such tremendous power. As expected, special constitutions are different." The speaker was the Tower Master's 3rd disciple. Roblin coldly stated she'd handle it and told the man not to meddle. The man smiled ingratiatingly. "How could I bear to let you, who might become Master's fourth disciple, walk into danger. The girl looked disdainful. You should worry about your own thesis. Multi-continuity theory. 7 years have passed. Do you still have the same talent you had 7 years ago? The man said many words back then were rumors. The Tower Master has certified the thesis as mine. Or are you jealous? Roblin smiled contemptuously. I'm just curious about someone with such talent. After 7 whole years could only climb to 4th place. After the mockery, the girl left directly, leaving the man's face darkened. Damn her, how dare she? Her running wild was one thing, but daring to speak nonsense about matters buried for years. Fortunately, Belden is already dead. No one can expose that thesis of mine. Dealing with a third-tier small fry won't be hard, but if I'm too rash, I'll lose the Tower Master's favor. As long as I work steadily, the world is still mine. Meanwhile, after leaving Viron territory, Belden stopped in a gray village. This was a city called Kern, renowned for industry and manufacturing. However, under this fame, the wealth gap was enormous. Kern's slums were downright notorious. Belden came to the slums. He needed to find what he was looking for here. Along the way, the stench from beggars was unbearable. The slums here were the most miserable place in the duchy. Finally, he stopped at a building marked with a pale arrow sign. This should be where the information intermediary was. He pushed open the door. The impatient shopkeeper, hearing he was recommended by Butcher Garrick, skipped procedures and let him enter underground. Remember not to cause trouble. Belden entered the basement, where a person wrapped entirely in bandages began guiding. Then he saw a group of people waiting, including quite a few mages. Looks like these people all came to the intermediary to investigate information. Belden walked into a deeper room. This time, a green-haired man was waiting there. He introduced himself as Pale, the person in charge of Gray's southern operations. After some conversation, Pale seemed quite aware of Belden's recent activities. He said he could arrange commission tasks for Belden. However, obtaining intelligence came with risks, so Belden needed to improve his performance to prove himself. Belden calculated internally. Better to take a commission first, get the payment while raising my level. So he signed the contract, based on Belden's personality being more like an adventurer than a mercenary. Pale gave him his first commission task, hunting howling wolves. Generally, for monster hunting, the state would assign these to guilds. Sometimes lords would dispatch armies to suppress monsters and take all the spoils. But this practice sometimes caused monster proliferation, turning territories into monster nests. So generally, monster handling rights were still given to guilds. It's perfectly normal for lords to want to secure the best spoils for themselves. For instance, howling wolf vocal cords are expensive materials. Ultimately, Gray satisfied the interests of various nations, and Belden was one of the commissioners. In the forest, Pale and an officer came to inspect the prey. Both highly praised the excellent completion of this mission. This kind of result doesn't seem like what a third-tier mage could achieve. Ordinary prey was solved by him with wide-area attack magic, while the target howling wolf was handled very well, protecting the rather precious vocal cords. The officer affirmed either way this time was quite outstanding. Truly impressive. Meanwhile, Belden was at a shop. A few days ago, he commissioned the shop to make armor from wild boar monster hide, and hoped the merchant could try repairing that ring. This seemed to be a severely damaged ring. After this, Belden continued staying in Kern, while accepting Pale's commissions. Completing work and receiving payment became Belden's daily life, including but not limited to killing monsters, pursuing criminals, raiding illegal slave trading markets. A month later, the ring from Mattress was finally fully repaired, though its effects remained unknown. Belden took the ring back to research it himself. Just then, a little girl accidentally bumped into his leg. Belden quickly steadied the girl and protected her ice cream. The arriving grandmother apologized hastily. It's my granddaughter's fault. To thank you for helping my granddaughter, I can help you divine your fate. Unable to resist the old and young's persuasion, Belden let her try. Unexpectedly, after he finished selecting cards, the old woman broke into a heavy sweat. She had to deflect. As long as you just live well like you are now. The two watched Belden leave. The little girl asked curiously, Grandma, didn't you divine anything? The old woman explained she just felt extremely shocked. In the cards he drew, the god of life, god of death, and god of fate were all reversed. This means he's in a chaotic state detached from fate. From that chaos, I cannot glimpse the future. He may be someone who will disappear, leaving nothing behind. Or perhaps someone who will rise rapidly, possessing everything and ruling the world. A being carrying infinite possibilities. I only pray his potential doesn't bring darkness to the world. At the same time, Belden's ring glowed, and a huge blue pattern suddenly appeared before him. Elsewhere, an old man saw a massive star appear in the sky and was quite puzzled. After years of astrology, I've never seen such an abnormal phenomenon. A celestial body that should have fallen still exists. Suddenly, he began coughing up blood violently. The emerald ring in his hand shone brightly. Following the ring's guidance, Belden traveled from Kern to the Bade Mountains. Here, the cold wind howled, and he had no idea what awaited him at the ring's destination. To avoid being tracked, he concealed this from Pale and didn't use magic, arriving here by carriage. Ahead was a village in the Bade Mountains. Belden surveyed the surroundings slightly. Since the ring's destination is a forest, better to hire a hunter to familiarize myself with the terrain. Seeing Belden walk past, a hooded girl revealed an indescribable smile. What did I just see? Too handsome. That man just now is totally my type. Belden discovered the forest trees changed color at regular intervals, so he flew high into the air to survey the situation. Only then did he realize the forest was actually a massive magic circle. Just moments ago, Belden had been wandering the forest without a clue. No matter how he used magic detection, he couldn't find any traces. This was his third day following the ring's guidance, and even the hunter was exhausted. Discovering the forest's abnormality, Belden was deeply shocked. Such a powerful magic circle arrangement was extremely intricate. Dismantling it would take about an hour. The circle's master awakened from his dream. He gulped down a red potion, feeling a deep sense of powerlessness. This potion doesn't seem to work anymore, but I must endure. The day the world changes is almost upon us. Suddenly he discovered someone behind him in terror. Who are you? Were you sent by Dark Hour? Belden slowly appeared. I don't know why you mentioned that name, but I only came following this ring. Wait, that's New Moon. He coughed up another mouthful of blood. Where did you get that ring? Belden was cautious. First explain why you're here. The old man teased, I like this about you. You're careful. I'll tell you about the ring. But before that, tell me how you passed through that barrier. All the passages were sealed. When he learned Belden had spent 4 hours dismantling the magic circle, he was shocked. This young man has such astounding ability and knowledge. So he explained the ring's origin. You can even see it as fate. I lost that ring 15 years ago. My name is Hakan. I was once an alchemist and 5th-tier mage. People called me the Sage. Back then, I had a 6th-tier friend who proposed we establish a magic research society. That's how Dark Hour came to be. Over the years, we grew from a few people to several hundred. The world envied and feared us because our power exceeded that of a small nation. But my friend never led Dark Hour down its current path. It was always a place of magical research. At least it was until his death. The one who killed him was an apprentice we'd trained together. His name is Dart. We'd all been deceived by him before, unable to see his true nature. I immediately engaged him in battle, but by then he'd already reached 6th tier. He killed nearly all our forces, and I lost all my magic power and began to flee. Until 15 years later, meeting you here. And I've been studying astrology over the years, gaining some ability to preview the future. I left the New Moon ring pair 15 years ago and could only wait here. You are the one destined to save the world from evil. Belden was stunned. Such a grand request must come with a price. What can you give me? The old man said seriously. If you agree, I, Sage Hakan, will give you all my achievements. Belden was taken aback. These words were hard to understand. In his heart, he held only endless rage toward the magic tower and its master. Yet the old man before him placed saving the world before revenge on Dark Hour. He asked in confusion, those achievements you mentioned? What do you mean? As the two conversed, voices suddenly came from behind. 3 cloaked figures walked in. Finally found you. Hakan Dazis, traitor of Dark Hour. Hakan was shocked. Dark Hour. How did you find this place? How dare you? Powerful magical auras emanated from the figures. Watch your tone. The old man flew into a rage. I was his teacher. How dare you attack me? The leader explained, we found you by detecting your use of magical tracking devices. You think the leader would personally come for an old man like you? Let's get straight to the point. Not long ago, the magic tower collapsed. Countless mages died. Nothing like this has ever happened before. And someone pinned the blame on us, so the Tower Master's assassins are constantly hunting us. Leader Darkt believes you're suspicious of this incident. Do you deny it? Hakan was furious. If I had the power to topple the magic tower, Darkt would already be dead. Belden nearby could no longer stand by. Fire, wind blades, ice, triple magic poured forth, the 3 raised shields to block. Damn it, does Hakan have disciples? Among the 3, a girl was extremely excited, simply an exquisite collectible. She summoned flames and charged forward. Your face is perfect for my collection. Belden could tell this was a 4th-tier magic shield. She instantly appeared beside Belden, while the other 2 4th-tier mages first observed the situation. They sensed Belden was also 4th-tier intermediate. Seeing the woman charging at him madly, Belden raised his hand with an earth spear. To everyone's shock, Belden's 3rd-tier spell easily overpowered the 4th-tier magic. Not only did their magic pressure have no effect on him, the earth spear easily pierced the firewall, scratching the woman's face. Belden pursued the advantage, grabbing her by the throat, then pressing her to the ground. Without hesitation, his staff stabbed toward Felicia's throat. Fortunately, her companions intervened. The rescued Felice gritted her teeth. Damn brat, how dare he! Before she finished speaking, earth spikes suddenly erupted from below, sending her flying. This is terrain manipulation magic. The room's floor instantly shattered into pieces. The uncommon spell used in combat shocked everyone. The defeated Felice still clamored to kill Belden. Belden sensed this would be a tough battle and told Hakan to hide in the room. The old man remained calm, taking out a red magic circle. Smashing it to the ground created a massive explosion. Belden seized the opportunity to escape with him. The 2 arrived at an underground laboratory. Hakan led him to open a large door, then retrieved a potion from the table and handed it to Belden. Among magic mentors, Hakan is a grand magic mentor. He collected herbs and ground them under starlight. The potion before you is his masterpiece, crafted over 5,000 days. Drinking it will add elements to your body never before experienced, a realm no mortal mage has touched. It has no side effects. If it doesn't suit you, its effects will fade. Time is short. I won't demand you fulfill my wish or seek sympathy. Take it. I only hope to see how far my fate can go. Belden examined the potion and sensed it truly held mystical magic power. I think I can trust him. He uncorked the bottle. I need to correct one point. In this world, there's no such thing as fate. With that, he resolutely drank the potion. Something changed in Hakan's eyes. As a grand magic mentor who'd studied astrology for half his life, he now realized destined fate didn't exist at all. After the young man drank his potion, he felt the long-destined fate beginning to twist. The young mage before his eyes was actually that star reigning supreme above the firmament. I never thought the one who came to deny fate would appear before me in the form of death. Excellent. I will give you everything I possess. Go forth, Rebel Reaper. He placed his hand on Belden's shoulder, activating memory transfer magic. A massive, brilliant light flashed. Belden also regained consciousness. He just lost focus, unsure what happened, but an abnormally powerful magic force surged from within. Hakan sighed. It's successful, young mage. I don't even know your name. My name is Asher. No, my name is Belden. Hearing this, Hakan could no longer rise. Belden, please burn my body. Belden quietly watched the old man. His entire life's memories were now in his mind. He said, for the world's sake, please end Dark Hour's atrocities. Of course I'll do this. Belden removed the ring and threw it into the flames. Thank you. Now I can use it. 4-circle magic spell, Earthquake. Meanwhile, the three mages tracked all the way but found no trace of Hakan. Damn it, even magic detection failed. Hakan might already be dead. That absurd old man must have prepared traps. When I find him, I'll tear him to pieces. As they argued, they suddenly felt powerful magic force emanating from the ground. Everyone vigilantly flew up to avoid it. The next second, the ground exploded into fragments with a boom. Crap, is it an earthquake? We almost perished. But the leading man realized this was 4th-tier magic. Then a powerful light wave descended from the sky. Before the man could turn around, he was struck by the staff. That's the person who was standing beside Hakan. Belden looked at his hand, marveling that lightning magic had also been further expanded. My magic power is now as vast as the ocean. Thanks to Hakan, I've reached 4th-tier intermediate. With a grateful heart, I will completely erase the organization called Dark Hour. The cloaked man sensed Belden's magic was abnormally powerful and didn't dare be careless. But even prepared, he was still struck by lightning the next second. The crazed woman charged at Belden with flames. I'll burn you to ash. Belden remained calm, also raising flames to block. The woman taunted, daring to use fire before me? Let me show you the gap between 4th and 3rd tier. But she was instantly dumbfounded, because Belden's magic flames far exceeded her own. The scorching flame torrent immediately engulfed her. Belden said casually, already dealt with one. Seeing his companion burned to ash, the long-haired man immediately flew into a rage. I'll kill you. He used full-force telepathic control magic on Belden. Belden looked disdainful, using magic of the same attribute. Seeing all attacks blocked, he was shocked this man's mental control was also so strong. Too late to escape, he was instantly shattered by magic pressure. The tracking magic compass also fell out. Belden was quite interested. I need to study this carefully. There's still one more mage. Did he escape after all? If a 4th-tier mage flees with all his might, even I can't catch up easily. Then I'll use Hakan's legacy. Brilliant white light shone in Belden's hand. Meanwhile, the man was fleeing frantically, having crossed several mountains. I'm no match for him alone. Need to call for reinforcements. This guy will pose a huge threat to Dark Hour someday. But he sensed massive energy locking onto him. Is that magic detection? I've already run so far, yet this distance can still detect me. Belden lightly raised his hand, releasing magic power. A star as dazzling as the sun appeared above the man's head. Has dawn already arrived? Impossible. It should be at least 2 hours until daybreak. This isn't a natural disaster. I need to escape quickly. I need to report this person's situation to the organization. But when he realized escape was impossible, he despaired completely. Wait, does such magic really exist? I've never heard of it. You're lying. Impossible. He's just a 4th-tier mage. In an instant, massive light engulfed him. On the snowy mountain, as dazzling as the sun. The power was so great even the mountain range fractured. After casting, even Belden felt dizzy. This magic consumed half my magic power. Definitely not an ordinary trick. That's Meteor, one of Hakan's 5 stars. The power is tremendous, but the consumption is unbearable. I need to improve it. At Dark Hour headquarters, the leader questioned his subordinates. You're saying the ones chasing Hakan all disappeared? The subordinate said those people might have been killed. I found a resident. Dark turned with killing intent, then began using memory transfer to access the villager's memories. The villager who got up at night to check his fields saw the sky abnormally brighten. Dark immediately realized those were traces of magic, powerful enough to fracture mountains and burn forests, a very powerful fire magic. With magic this powerful, no matter how many come, they'd be annihilated. But how did that powerless old man do it? Could he have met the Saint of Ruas? If it's Hakan, he's already at magic mentor level. This isn't impossible, but he should already be dead. No need to waste resources on the dead. Those three's disappearance won't affect Dark Hour's development. They died meaningfully. At that moment, other subordinates came to report information. The Empire's nearby branch was almost eliminated by the Bohemian extermination force. Dark flew into a rage. Go, pull back the front lines. Being humiliated over something that shouldn't have happened. That old tower master has gone mad. Since it's come to this, I'll kill all of you. Weeks later, Belden was enjoying his afternoon tea. This was the resort city of Bryant. Not long ago, Dark Hour had a conflict at Hakan's residence, so Belden hid here. He was now a 4th-tier mage. Generally, 1st and 2nd tier form the foundation. 3rd tier is all magic and spells. 4th tier means large-scale magic. I could reach 4th tier in such a short time. Hakan's potion and spells deserve the credit. Even someone like me who studied studied countless theories and formulas in the magic tower, was shocked by their mystical power. How can one create magic without elemental attributes? Perhaps only magic mentors who transcend magic laws can create miracles. No matter how many spells and magic I master, this is still a miracle. There's still plenty of time. What I need to do is gradually improve Haken's magic. He inscribed 5 stars on that pattern. Right now I can only use 1. The power is tremendous, but it's not practical in combat. If only I could break it into small meteors. Thinking of all these trivial matters, he began organizing his thoughts. Come to think of it, I should also establish my own organization. Start from there. But which place would be better? Just then he saw a casino merchant guild. In his memory, that knight from Pia told him to just mention his name. In a flash, the Merchant Association boss was beaming. "So you're our family's benefactor, sir." He enthusiastically introduced Belden to his association's products. Belden got straight to the point, asking where magical products could be purchased. The shopkeeper was somewhat puzzled, but hearing he wanted custom magical products, began his introduction. "I know a great craftsman, but he's most likely an apprentice to a retired mage from a small village. He's a drunkard and gambling addict. I heard creditors are looking for him." Just then the craftsman was surrounded by creditors. "What? Not a penny? I'll beat you to death. If you hadn't lost everything at the casino, you wouldn't be in debt now." Just as he was about to be beaten, Belden appeared. "You mean 8 million currency? I'll pay." The lead creditor smirked contemptuously. "Punk, making fun of us? Grab him, teach him a lesson." "Wait," one creditor with keen eyes stepped forward. "Don't any of you see what this kid's identity is? When I was young and Bryant was still a crime city, a skinny mage appeared. But that skinniness was just an illusion. Everyone who fought him was eliminated. I don't even remember how I survived that day." Then he roared, "I'll show you what I want to do." He suddenly knelt on the ground apologizing. "Sorry, we didn't know you were a mage. The drunkard's debts are cleared. He owes nothing." After they left, the craftsman asked Belden who he was. Belden stated his purpose and the referrer. He wanted to commission a magical item, then extended his hand to help him up. "Is this acceptable?" "Of course." The craftsman readily agreed, and could deduct 8 million from the commission. A few days later, Belden was enjoying his afternoon tea. He marveled at Dark Hour's ingeniously designed compass. Then he named the new attribute obtained from Hakon's starlight. This power connects to the constellation's magic in the night sky, but Belden can't fully control it yet. The problem is his magic circuits differ from Hakon's, causing different magical reactions. He tried many methods without particular progress. As he pondered, a man silently sat across from him. "Finally found you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Resno from the Ark." Belden was startled. He'd heard this name several times. The Ark, this name opposite to gluttony. "Why are they looking for me?" Resno consoled. "Don't be nervous. We won't harm you. Simply put, the enemy's enemy is a friend. Your killing the professor benefited us, so we tracked you and helped erase your traces. Consider it our way of repaying the favor, though sometimes we lose track of you." Hearing this, Belden's gaze instantly sharpened. Terrifying magical pressure emanated from him. "I don't know how you tracked me, but let me be clear. Don't try to spy on my whereabouts." Resno quickly apologized. "We guarantee we won't spy on you anymore." Seeing him slightly appeased, Resno apologized again, then explained his purpose. "The Ark is quite friendly toward Mr. Asher. Your actions in killing the professor left a deep impression on us." He began explaining the Ark's ideology. Unlike gluttony, which promoted human evolution through devouring, the Ark's core philosophy is that humans evolve through adversity and trials. When we continuously observed you, we found you embodied our ideals, so I invite you to become part of our Ark." Belden refused without thinking. "You shouldn't be here just for that." Resno took out a box and gave it to Belden. "Please consider this our thanks for the professor incident. Inside is an expensive recovery bracelet that lets the wearer quickly restore magic power." Belden asked in confusion, "This gift is too expensive. Are people matching your ideology that important?" The others smiled. "That's secondary. Most importantly, maintaining good relations with you." "Are the Ark and gluttony enemies?" Belden asked again. Resno patiently explained, "It's an ideological issue. Gluttony abandons old humanity, seeking new humanity. The Ark seeks those who can lead humanity through countless trials. The two have always differed due to conflicting philosophies." "Well, since I've said what I came to say, I should take my leave. If you're interested in the Ark, please head northwest to Lorien in 1 month. Lorien is a city adjacent to the Demon Forest. Magic runes are an ancient magic crafting technology, far exceeding any current technology. No one can recreate the process of inscribing runes, so they can only try activating runic relics." Belden took out a ring with a rune sealed on it. He asked Pale if he knew any information about runes. Belden is now a 4th tier mage. His equipment also needs updating. In other words, it's time to use the treasures brought from the magic tower. Because materials and costs are still issues, he temporarily shelved this. Now there's another treasure, whose runic seal he needs to unlock. Pale thought with chin in hand. "Runes? I do have some information. I know a rune specialist, but due to the rarity of this field, it's inconvenient for you to find him. But Mr. Asher, you've just received a special commissioned request that might help. Though you can refuse this request, the client happens to know the rune specialist's address. He's strict, but if you accept his request, he'll most likely accommodate you." So Belden came to the Count's mansion at his invitation, led by a knight. Belden saw the Count's true appearance. This is Count Rodin. He's already commissioned Belden several times. After brief hospitality, the Count got straight to the point. I have an assistant named Baron who went to execute a mission and should have returned long ago, but he and the guard knights never came back. I kept sending reinforcements with no news. For this search operation, knowledge and ability are crucial, which is why I'm seeking you. Since you've completed all the tasks I've assigned, your ability is confirmed. You'll serve as second in command to the knights. Is there a problem departing tonight? Belden asked if he could operate alone. Try to cooperate. If you need to act alone, you're permitted. Belden agreed and asked the Count about the rune specialist. Count Roden pointed behind him. He's already been staying here for a while. His name is Ronald. In his youth, he researched runes for many years. The Count rose to leave. Have a good chat with him. Ronald explained he could answer any questions within his knowledge. Belden directly took out the purple ring. Can you unlock the magic seal on this ring? If so, I'll pay any fee. Ronald observed carefully. This ring was very valuable. This ring is called Transcendence. The wearer can enhance all 5 senses, and it's a continuously effective item. However, all senses will overlap. A third-tier intermediate mage like you might fall into a cycle of dizziness and awakening. A mage's hand faces the risk of being severed. Even with excellent physical condition, it won't work. Then inscribe the rune directly into my magic circuits, Belden said seriously. Hearing this, Ronald broke into a cold sweat. You're insane. This will destroy your magic circuits. Even if you're lucky enough to survive, losing an arm would be meaningless. But Belden's eyes were utterly serious. As a rune researcher, he also wanted to try inscribing runes on a human body. After struggling, he agreed to Belden's request. What he didn't know was that Belden was already a 4th-tier mage and had been prepared since leaving the magic tower, and he now only felt his 5 senses racing, as if he'd lose his sanity at any moment. The scene shifted. The night order departed in force. The commander received advice from an old man. Though we don't know what happened in the forest, beasts and orcs are all trembling in fear. I've lived here 70 years and never encountered such a thing. And Belden traveling with them seemed absent-minded from the start. The knights rushed into the forest. Soon they had some information. They found Count Visconti's carriage. It had been cut in half, yet no traces indicated what kind of attack it suffered. At that moment, the commander looked at the absent-minded Belden. Your turn, mage? His state drew another mage's disdain. You haven't been alert since the start. Belden took a long time to return to normal. His surging 5 senses became normal. He activated magic power, magic detection. This was an extremely consuming spell, making the green-haired mage even more worried. But as the magic power spread beyond the area, Belden also discovered some traces. This way, please follow me. Everyone rushed out after Belden. His speed shocked the knight commander. This flight surpassed any mage in the night order. Facing Greenhair's inquiry, Belden explained he detected a powerful magical presence. That thing in the forest very likely destroyed the Count's carriage. At that moment, the knights encountered a group of rampaging treants. After dealing with them, Belden was somewhat puzzled. Don't treants usually only appear in damp, dark places? They most likely drifted from nearby, the commander mentioned. There's a place nearby called Demon Forest, already listed as forbidden territory, famous for having many treants. Belden thought of the Demon Forest Resno mentioned. Must be the same place. Green Hair reminded nearby, the Count couldn't possibly have been defeated by treants, right? Belden again sensed magic power lingering. He raised his staff high and shouted, "Come out! Brennan, one of the missing knights, emerged from behind the trees. Brennan, tell me what happened." The commander strode forward demanding. His condition is wrong. Belden's eyes were sharp. Rather than a knight, he's more like undead. What? Undead? The commander barely reacted before the other grabbed at him. The knight commander dodged and punched him, but he has a pulse. Is it possession or a curse? In a flash, he'd subdued Brennan, ordering subordinates to bring rope. But then, from the other side of the forest came equally deranged mages, and savagely violent monster troops attacking this way. Everyone's in the same state as Brennan. If all the missing people are like this, he immediately ordered retreat from the monsters, avoiding combat. The night order began breaking through, under continuous firefights. The knights spotted a small house in the distance and broke toward it, but a troll blocked the way. It possessed tremendous strength, immediately sending several soldiers flying. The commander gritted his teeth in anger. Looks like we can't escape unscathed. But the next second, the monster was blasted to fragments by a boulder. The ambushing mage was also blocked by Earth Spear. Move, Belden said coldly. He set up a massive magic circle above the house. This is a protective artifact inscribed with spells, but unfortunately this level can't hold them back. So he began modifying the running magic circle, simplifying spells and modifying filling formulas. Normally impossible to complete, but his 5 senses had become extraordinarily powerful. For Belden, this was a piece of cake. This left Greenhair dumbfounded. This shocking scene and his earlier casting speed made Greenhair determine he far exceeded a 3rd-tier mage, and this person had been hiding his true strength. Meanwhile, soldiers in the house discovered another wrong situation. They found traces of Baron in the house. Belden realized they'd set up magical concealment circles. No wonder they lost contact. Baron then began explaining what happened that day. I executed the Count's orders and completed the mission. On the way back, we heard a scream in the distance. Following our duty to protect residents, we entered the forest. There we saw a strange purple tree. Looking closely, it emanated a spine-chilling aura. I just ordered inspection of the surroundings when a strange person appeared silently behind me. Then that mage, along with treants, orcs, and some humans, ambushed us. But they didn't kill us. Instead, they dragged me beside that tree. The tree used its roots to absorb our life force. Thanks to Brennan and the others' sacrifice, only we two survived. Those people all became the giant tree's puppets. They're already dead. The commander heavily struck the floor. To honor our fallen comrades, we must destroy that tree. The Rodin family was famous for its powerful swordsmanship, and his knight order was also extremely formidable. To avenge fallen comrades, they were even more willing to sacrifice their lives, and the commander had asked Belden beforehand to find the tree's location. Belden activated powerful magic detection. This is the first time I've activated full power for ultra-long-range monitoring. The magic consumption made me dizzy. His keen senses let him immediately lock onto the tree's position. He immediately flew over and saw a huge pile of monsters, but he didn't release the signal flare as agreed. I'll handle this faster alone. A chain lightning attack struck the monsters. After the explosion's dust, only tree roots kept charging at him. Belden dodged easily. Besides controlling puppets, it's no different from trance. Since it's a tree, the weakness is obvious. Triple flames poured forth. Meanwhile, just as the magic archer was about to deliver the final blow to the commander, all enemies turned to ash and disappeared. At that moment, the captain saw the signal flare in the distance. Looks like Asher succeeded. The great tree burned to charcoal. This ended faster than Belden imagined, but an energy mass suddenly appeared before his eyes. Before Belden could understand what it was, that energy mass fled into the distance. Is that a strange creature possessing the treant? This is the fear I felt when looking at that treant. Now that fear is even stronger. So this is the demon forest?